Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. I have changed the Zoom in the room. I love well, it's on this side over here, the moonlight over the window. You think I'm about to list my condo in the view or something like that. Probably. All of our WNST coverage brought to you by our newest sponsors, Wise Markets. I am eating better. I'm spending less. And I'm telling you what, we're going to learn a lot about nutrition. I'm going to be going store to store throughout the community. I'm going to be eating the crab cakes at Wise, as I'm going to be doing everywhere. But probably Wise will be working on that pork brisket, or probably working on some of that fresh seafood, and especially around Easter as well. So get some Easter candy as well. My appreciation to them. And as I told the people at Wise Market, I said, man, I have the greatest sponsors here, and I have a lot of them on. I like to call them Wise Conversations. Leonard Raskin joins us now from Raskin Global, trying to bring a little bit of his financial wisdom and a little bit of sports fun here on the eve of the Big Ten tournament, as we're turned around as his lad attends the Ohio State University and dots the I in Ohio and hang on Sloopy and all that stuff. But a Terrapin fan at heart, of course, and still watching Caps and all that. What's going on, Len? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, my friend. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. We got a little pre-spring. What's not to love about pre-spring, huh?
I got the sandals out and I dusted off the sandals a little bit, trying to see.
I got the shorts on, getting outside and breathing in some fresh Baltimore spring air. It's a beautiful time in the city.
Dude, you better get this kind of weather on your golf tournament next month.
Hey, here's hoping. Mount Washington orders up April 19th, beautiful weather. And if we can get a 65, 70-degree day, middle of April, be fantastic.
We'll always look back and say, man, on March 9th, it was 72. What, how can
right, what the heck?
On April the 19th. And you wouldn't put your golf tournament on March 9th, but it's a good day for a walk. Leonard, a bunch of things going on. I want to talk crab cakes with you. I certainly want to talk money and finances, but let's just start on sports, in the traditional way here. It's been a year this week, right? A year ago, right here, right now.
Yep.
Tournaments get shut down. Hockey, all of it gets shut down. Nothing's getting shut down. My wife got the shot in her arm, the one shot, by the way, last week.
There you go.
Got sick on it. Make sure you're hydrating and prepared for the aftermath of the shot. Take a day to yourself. You're going to need it. But we're starting to get a little bit of normalcy here and some vibe, and Uncle Larry's open in the state, and Brandon's going to fight with him. We're going to have all that about how many people we're going to have at opening day. But we are going to have an opening day. There are going to be some people here. We are wearing masks. Numbers are coming down, which is good. And I think a lot of us know enough to wear a mask for a while, fist bump for a while, get yourself in line to get a shot. But we are opening the world a little bit, and that feels nice.
Feels like spring. It's a renewal. It's a new thing. That's what spring's all about. And it feels good to hear the Gov say that spring is sprung and restaurants can open and bars can open, and you go back to church and synagogue. And if you want to have a wedding, you can have a wedding now with more than your spouse. So it looks good and rolls right into that refreshing opening day. We can make the World Series, Baltimore Orioles.
Well, opening day for the Orioles in Baltimore was always like spring. It was always a drinking holiday, a baseball holiday, a play hooky holiday, a take the day off. Whatever it was, right, for all of us. And I said this to Luke earlier, that, there was a time where 250,000 people wanted those 48,000 seats, right? When DC. Then there was a time where 100,000 people wanted those seats, and it was $80 or $100 just to walk in on opening day. And then there's the last 5 years where there's been about 38,000 people that want 43,000 seats. And I know they're going to open, and people that are comfortable going out, whatever. I would go, I'd wear a mask. I'd take the distance, whatever, whatever would come my way. I'm not afraid of going to an outdoor baseball game at this point with a mask on. But there is something about that psychologically. It's like kids going back to school or going out for the first time and eating at a restaurant. My wife and I sat at a meat cheese Tuesday night on National Meatball Day and had meatballs.
There you go.
So yeah, I mean, and it does feel like it's been a year, but it almost feels like every little part of this will be a little more appreciated in some way, for sure.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. People are going to love getting out. I saw a terrible meme just the last few days. Governor says I think he said 50% capacity at the stadium. and somebody posted that they wanted to know how the Orioles were going to double their attendance.
I love when you bring comedy here to me, Len. You know what I mean?
Hey,
Like,
you
I'm
gotta
the guy
roll.
that kicks the Orioles here. Are you talking bad
Right.
about my baseball team?
You got to roll. You got to roll with the laughter. You know, if
I
you
got to
don't
take
laugh,
the other side of that, man.
no, I think I think they're going to fill half the stadium for opening day. I think it's going to be a beautiful thing.
Well, and
And
I do think part of that would be like when they had the first baseball game in Korea last year. Remember?
yeah,
Like,
people want out. People want to get in there. Want to smell the grass and hear the clack of the bat. You'll be able to hear the bat better with half the people in there.
that's right.
You'll be able to. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm watching a little hockey, and a couple arenas have some fans.
I saw
Now
Phoenix had fans.
Yeah. Now what's really weird, I don't know. This is what the NHL's doing. You know, they have the lower concourse seats covered because they got to get all their advertising around the arena. So when you're watching on TV, you got all these advertisers running their ads on top of these seat covers, but then the fans are behind the first lower bowl.
Well, that's so they don't get hit with a puck.
No, it's so that they can get their advertising on the screen. I get it.
Dude, the
No, it wouldn't
NHL was more than any of the other leagues, even in the modern era. The NHL was completely the revenue is derived by you paying $120 to go and see a Caps game.
Yeah.
Like they just got the big deal with ESPN, and I love that Chris
they've
Pike has said bring back Gary Thorne, which I agree
There
with.
you go. He's fantastic he's a fantastic hockey broadcaster.
Best
One
there
of the
ever
best.
was.
Well, Mike Emmerich's probably the best there ever was.
I take Gary Thorne.
Doc Emmerich was the best there ever
Gary's
was.
been off the ice a decade. No one got me up for the game and down. For Gary Thorne bringing the energy and bringing it down. Yeah.
Absolutely, and they should definitely get him back on the broadcast. He's phenomenal. I saw him years ago. Caps the year the Caps won. You know, the year they won it all. I was out at a baseball game talking to Gary, and I said to him, "What do you think? You know, Caps got a chance?" And he said, "I'm broadcasting the Orioles. Don't even pay attention to it." I was like stunned. It was such a.
Well, he can't watch hockey. He's at a baseball game every
No, I know, but it was just I was like, hey, you know, what do you think chances are this year? I'm broadcasting the Orioles. I'm not watching the hockey. I'm like, wow, damn, dude, that was brutal, abrupt.
Yeah, when I think of Gary Thorne calling games on ESPN, and I think of sitting in the New York, in Las Vegas 20 years ago with my ex-girlfriend. Shout out, Robin. How are you? We were watching that Dallas-Buffalo game that went all night. You know, there's this disputed goal.
Crease. The foot was in the crease.
Disputed goal. You remember that game, right?
Oh, of course,
that game went all night. We sat in Il Forneo, an Italian restaurant in the middle of, you know, Las Vegas, watching that game, and I made him turn the sound up because I was in the corner. I'm like, I gotta hear Gary. You know, Gary's getting, and you know, the liquor's flowing, the pasta's flowing. I'm rolling dice, you know, during the 15-minute intermissions during overtime, and you know, and I think of Gary Thorne. I think about when's the last time I got excited enough to walk into a bar and say, I need to hear the announcer.
He's fantastic. I agree. He is fantastic. I'd love to see ESPN grab him back for hockey. That would be a great get. Hey, man, we'll get back onto sports. And I know you've had some tragedy in your life the last couple of weeks with your firm and what you do and clients. And, you know, this is a tough conversation because when you brought it up with me, I said, oh, my mom died 3.5 years ago, and I didn't have it buttoned up the way I thought I had it. I thought I had it buttoned up, but I didn't have it buttoned up. Yeah, we had, unfortunately, you know, this happens. It happens more often as I age because clients get older. We all get older, but I've had 2 clients pass away in the last 30 days. And they've been longtime clients, friends of the firm. And the thing I would say, you know, to all our listeners is you got to make sure a few things. Now, obviously, you live your life. You don't live your life thinking about your dying. You got to check on this stuff. One of the gentlemen who passed had a will, and we have in our notes that we referred him to an attorney. He met with the attorney, got the will done, but he never signed it. And this was back in 2011. And then every year since that we followed up and met and talked, we've said to him, you got to get this thing signed. And I asked him every time I met with him, is it still good? Is this still what you want? Yeah, this is still what I want. Then why don't we just print it out right here get it witnessed, get it signed, get it done. I'll do it. Never signed it. So he passed a couple weeks back, and I talked to his family, and they said, "Do you have a copy of his will? Because the copy we have is unsigned." I said, "Well, I have a copy, but it's unsigned. He never signed it." So now, unfortunately, his
Now,
estate.
an incredibly difficult situation just with
Oh
the
yeah,
passing alone. Like,
yeah, right, right. You're not in the
we've all been
mindset.
there in some way. We're all old enough that somebody passed, and we know what that represents for a day, a
Yeah,
week,
the
a month, right?
emotion, the mourning, the what's next, the patriarch, the matriarch. You know, there's nobody to look up to. When you're a young adult, this man was in his late 50s, so his children are young
You're
adults.
scaring me. I'll be 53 this year. I'm almost in my
I
mid
hear you.
50s.
I hear you. You said your mom already passed, you know, but the thing that you notice that I've noticed, I mean, I'm thankful I still have my mom here. But what I've noticed from people is more and more, you know, when you realize that there's nobody to call for wisdom, that you're the next level of wisdom, and your kids are looking to you, and there's no mom, dad to look up to and say, what's going on? You know, what do I do? That's when you start really figuring it out. And now you find out there was no will, and you say, well, what happens to all his stuff? You know, how do we deal with the cars? How do we deal with the house? How do we deal with the bank accounts? How do we deal with the investment accounts? What happens to the insurance? Now, the good news is most things these days you can name a beneficiary on, and that's another point. You absolutely, positively must check your beneficiary designations, retirement plans at work, IRAs,
How many
401ks,
people
life
with ex-wives,
insurance.
ex-girlfriends on these things you see every
Oh,
day?
all the time, all the
Ex-husbands, ex
time.
everything,
Absolutely,
literally.
all the time. And you know, people don't know the law. There's not just ex-wives, ex-husbands. There's also the law. In a 401k plan, if you're married, that spouse is the beneficiary of that plan, and there becomes all kinds of ripples and bad things if that spouse is the beneficiary of that plan, and you divorce and remarry. Don't change things. It's a mess. Uh, I wanted to leave my money to my kids. Uh, I pass. It's my ex-spouse. That's what's on the document. Now what? Or there's nothing there. It goes to the estate. The estate, there's no will. Okay, now what? Does the fiance get anything? Does the domestic partner get anything? Does the spouse get anything? Do the kids get it all? And you hope, you gotta hope, Nestor, that everybody gets along. But you know, that's not always the case.
Well, they're
Sometimes, I
grieving
mean,
right off the bat, right?
absolutely. And I've seen kids sue parents. I've seen parents sue kids. I've seen brothers sue sisters. It's a mess. And you know, this stuff has to be. It's critical when you're around and of sound mind that you make these decisions and you execute them. You put in the beneficiary designations, primary, contingent. What happens if you get the will done? You get the will signed. Um, the other client who passed, elderly gentleman in his 80s, in his case, everything buttoned up, beneficiaries handled, will signed, documents done, I's dotted, T's crossed,
His
quickly
family's having
handled.
a hard experience,
Yes, a
not
grieving
next week.
experience,
Not next
a
week.
grieving experience,
Right.
but not, it's not going to linger for months, potentially longer, where you've got to do all kinds of jump through hoop steps because documents that should have been there weren't taken care of.
That's great
So
advice. I mean,
it's critical.
when we talk about wise conversations, right, we have some fun and we talk some sports, politics, life, crab
Sure.
cakes, all of
Yeah.
that. But, you know, it really is the wisdom. Leonard Raskin here from Raskin Global. It's kind of stuff you do every day, though, right? I mean,
Every
we're
day.
talking serious shop here, but one phone call to you, and obviously just go to your website. There's a lot of resources out there. But everybody's got to trust somebody, to your point, right? You got to trust somebody.
Absolutely. And this is a very complex area that people don't get right. They just don't know. And I'll give you another quick example, similar. You leave money to a minor. You know, you leave money to a child. Children can't inherit wealth. They don't have legal capacity to do it. Courts get involved, lawyers get involved, costs go running up, assets go running down. You got to set things up properly. You want to leave it to your kids. They're 3 and 5. It's not going to work. You got to make sure you handle that properly. There's steps that have to be taken. These are critical things. Otherwise, the family, the lawyers, the courts, before you know it,
Well, it's sort of
costs,
the
as I
ultimate
said,
insurance, right? Literally.
absolutely. Costs go up, assets go down, lawyers get rich, family gets less. Bad scenario. simple language on a form. You got to make sure you do this right. You got to meet with a professional, take care of this, get it handled.
Well,
Doesn't have
Leonard
to be
Raskin
us.
gives good
Has to be
advice at Raskin
somebody.
Global as always. And, we talked some sports and all that. And I wrote down crab cakes because I've been asking everybody about crab cakes because I'm on a crab cake bent here. I'm talking to my
Yeah.
friends at Fadley's and Costas and, about their shipping business and about COVID
Yep.
and about
Yep.
Maryland crab versus, Texas crab versus Florida crab versus Venezuelan and Indonesia, all of this stuff that, and talking about mustard and mayonnaise and celery seed. And then the ultimate question, this is where everybody gets sideways, broiled or fried, right? So give me your crab cake thing. And I'm going to tell you that we're going to have some crab cakes together this year because I'm putting together this conceptual beer crab cake. And as I've learned, oysters are very, very important. The oysters are what allow the crabs to grow, right? So I'm educational about this. I'm gastrointestinal about this. I'm craft beerish about this. I'm travel oriented about this because I can go all over the state. I've already told you I've never been to Deep Creek Lake and these other places. So this is going to be a little bit of a Baltimore, Maryland, Chesapeake odyssey for me this year.
Awesome.
I'm going to investigate. Well, I had 3 million views on a crab video, right? And I'm thinking,
how to crack a crab.
Well, let's go figure out what makes a great crab cake because they're all different. Every one of them's different.
I'm a Pappas man.
Are you? Well, it's in the neighborhood for you.
Well, it is now. It used to be Parkville. And, man, the jumbo, lump, giant, big, heavy. They have a platter, crab cake platter. They've got the doubler. You get 2 of them. And you got the tripler. You get 3 of them.
I got to bring friends for that.
If you can do the triple crab cake, you get your picture on the wall, my friend. That's man versus food stuff.
I could do that.
No, I'm telling you, my friend, they're huge. They're big as your head.
I could eat 3 crab cakes.
Yeah.
All right.
They're big.
Yeah. Fair enough. Shout out to Steve, everybody at Pappas. I mean, we'll get up there. I mean, listen, when it comes to crab cakes, and I want to give a shout out to Nancy Longo over at Pure Point because so many things have happened in the last 5 weeks that have spoken to me with crab cakes. My cousin came to town. I sent him over to Costas. He was asking me about getting crab cakes downtown. I said Fadley's, but it was nighttime, and he didn't have it. And I'm like, all right, man, I could send you to 1,000 places to get a crab cake. You wouldn't need to drive to Bel Air or Annapolis or anywhere.
Right.
And I said, but let me bring this into focus because do you like mustard? Do you like celery seed? Do you care that it's a big softball? Do you want it to be sweeter? The way I sort of like as I remember Angelina's crab cakes. Do you love Old Bay? Do you like it a little salty or do you like it a little spicier? Do you like it like a little more runny, a little more wet? Or, as Chris Pikus says, a perfect crab cake, it's held together like magic. It's sort of like air holds it together.
There you go.
Like, well, you wouldn't tell anybody that makes a wetter crab cake that cares about that softball thing. So I'm a fried guy. I'm a sweet guy. I love celery seed. If it doesn't have celery seed, I probably don't like it. I've mentioned pimento and green pepper and red pepper as they do in a lot of Greek restaurants. I love that. I love the crab imperial part of that. But, man, there's so much to love, and they're all different. You can't have it all. Can't be mustardy and peppery and Old Bay and wet and dry and fried and broiled. You can't have it all. So have at it. How do you like yours?
I like I'm partial, I'll go fried or broiled. I'm not really partial to either there. It's a mood thing. I'm liking a good big lumpy crab cake, and I'm not concerned fried or broiled. I'm okay either way
what
there.
I'm going to say to every restaurant that I go to when I'm meeting new people, taking people like you with me, taking celebrities, where I'm going to do a whole thing with this. And drinking beer and eating oysters and educating and rapping about whatever we talk about. But I'm going to say to the waitress or waiter or whatever restaurant, I'm saying, you know what? Bring it to me how you serve it.
I was just going to say what I want. I was just going to say that when I go to a restaurant and I'm going to get like the, one of my favorite little appetizers. A lot of places don't have them, but some places do. The little lollipop lamb chops. The little
beautiful.
Little lollipops.
Some do mint and some do tzatziki sauce, right?
Yeah, and they say to me, "How do you want it prepared?" And I say, "You got a chef?" How does the chef like to send them out of the kitchen? That's how I want it. I don't want it the way, if I thought it should be medium or medium rare or a little well done, it doesn't matter. That's how I taste it because that's my brain. I want the way the chef thinks it should come on the plate. And that's how I want to experience it. Crab cake, same thing. They say broiled or fried. I say, tell the chef, prepare it the way the chef prepares it. I'll eat it. That's what I care about. I didn't come here to be it's kind
You
of
didn't
reminds
have
me,
it
you go
your
back,
way. You didn't come for a
yeah,
Whopper.
right. Go back to my business. Go back to my business. I don't ask, people don't come to me for financial advice to tell me what they should do with their money. They come to me and they say, here's my problems. Here's my life. Here's my money and my life on a platter. Help me. Tell me what to do. So I say to them, well, would you prefer it risky or not risky? Would you prefer it fried or broiled? No, this is what we think is right for you. I have a friend who had a bad knee, had a major issue with his knee, went to a doctor. Doctor said to him, we could do this, this, this. This is what I'd recommend. And here's what I think we should do. And here's how we should go. And the guy just didn't feel right about this doctor's advice, just didn't feel right. So he went to another doctor. He got a recommendation from somebody to like this guy that is the bomb. He's the guy. So he goes to this guy. He takes the x-rays, he takes the MRI, and he sits down with the guy and he goes, I met with this other doctor and do you want to know what he said? And the guy said, no, I don't care what he said. I want to look at your knee. I want to figure out what's going on. I'm going to tell you what to do. I don't care what somebody else said. It doesn't matter to me. This is how we fix it. So when I go to a restaurant, broiled or fried, chef, what do you do? You make that crab cake come out the way you should eat it. Should it be broiled or fried?
Well, Damie Hahn on a crab cake, her mom, Nancy, who's the godmother of the world famous fake meat crab cake, said that one of the secrets is people overcook the crab and they want it hot in the middle. It shouldn't be hot in the middle. It should be room temperature so you can taste the crab. You wouldn't want it to be that hot. Now, that being said, so Nancy Longo from Pierpoint, we dropped off, and you can appreciate this because you've been on our road trips. We had bags of cutlery, unused forks, knives, and she always doing charity stuff for kids in the city, stuff that you carry out. So we dropped off these bags, and she chased me out. It was Fat Tuesday. It was 5 degrees out.
Yeah.
She chased me out of the restaurant trying to serve me gumbo, and I'm like, no. I just dropped this off. My wife brought more in, and my wife comes out with a crab cake, a raw crab cake.
There you go.
And crab soup, red crab soup, not cream, Maryland crab, in a container. And she said, there's some crab meat, put it in the soup, make a crab cake. And she sent it home to me. And I said, this is a mistake because I'm going to look at it and say, it's a little wet for me. I would add a little more cracker. I threw celery seed in it. And 2 days later, I sent her a picture of what I did to the crab cake because she gave me too much crab. She gave me the softball, right? I flattened it out in a skillet. If I had a picture of it on my phone, maybe I still have it on my phone. I don't think I do. But the brioche bun I had was a nice size bun for like a nice quarter pound, oversized burger.
Yeah.
This crab cake was twice as big, like a pancake. Because I like more surface, because I like that crispy, bacony, and I do it in an olive oil, just a good Greek olive oil that I get over on Kane Street. And I flattened it out, and it's so ugly. And it didn't fit the bun. And I said to her, but it tastes good. I put more celery in it, seed in it, a little bit of Old Bay, not much because she doesn't go overboard. But everybody does it different. I said,
and I'm not a sandwich guy.
You sent me home with raw crab cake. I'm going to doctor it up. I'm going to add some mustard, ground mustard.
I don't want the crab cake on bread. I don't want my crab cake on bread. I want it with a fork. I'm a fork crab cake guy.
So you're anti-sandwich.
I'm anti-sandwich. That's right.
That's the other thing. When I wind up going to these places, I'll be there for lunch a lot because when I think of crab cake, I think lunch, I think sandwich, right? Some are going to serve it with kettle chips. Some are going to serve it with some Old Bay chips. Some are going to serve it with fried sweet potatoes, which I don't like. Some are going to serve it with French fries with all that orange salt, which I don't like.
I like
and some are just going to bring me a proper thrasher fry,
I like a nice baked potato with a hard salty skin.
Upscale steakhouse potato you like.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Alongside my crab cake. That's what I'm liking.
All right. So you want a prime rib crab cake is what you want.
I want it from, yeah. And what I want now, here's the last piece. Whether it's throw the steam crabs, so we can have a whole nother conversation, right, on steam crabs and where to get them. No doubt about that. Yeah, that's it. I got some go-tos there too. But anyway.
And they're all different. Every spice is different. Every crab.
Absolutely. Couple few hours later, I'm all about vanilla bean ice cream to go after the crab.
A lot of people have told me that.
I'm loving me some vanilla ice cream.
That's such a Baltimore thing to eat ice cream after crabs.
Oh yeah, but not right after. It's got to be a couple hours later, a little relax.
All right, so this summer when I get crabs one night, here's what I'm going to put it. I'm going to make fun of you on the internet, my friend and client. I'm going to say, Leonard Raskin eats ice cream, and he's not the only one I know. Are you one of those people? And I'm going to see, because I think I think you're not the only one. You're not the only one I've heard who does this.
I know. There's no doubt.
When I grew up in Dundalk, people did this. Like it was a thing. I haven't heard about it recently.
It's a thing.
All right.
Now, when it comes to the crabs, I'm a Conrad's man.
By the way, I'm going to throw this out for the general world, but also for you, and I'll make this the parting shot. The idea to eat crab cakes in different places every week, I remember a story of a bunch of older gentlemen who did this back in maybe the 80s, 70s, or 80s, where they had a little club every Friday.
Yeah, I'm game. I'm in.
All right, I like it.
I'm in.
If anybody knows the story or is related to men who did this 30 years ago, please contact me. Throw me an email, nasty@WNST.net. Because
quick part shot. I belonged to a crab club. Now it didn't roam, but every Friday, all summer, 12 weeks, 13, 14 weeks at the barn. You know the barn.
Did a lot of broadcasting at the barn,
right? And down in the private back room there, bunch of lawyers and clients and friends, and we had probably 30, 40 people. Throw the crabs on the table, get the corn on the cob going, get the beers going.
So it was a networking event.
Noon to 3 every Friday in the summer, man. It was righteous for years.
We should reinstitute that, you and I.
I'm all for it.
All right, we're going to talk. We're going to talk offline. Leonard Raskin's here. He's at Raskin Global. Go to raskinglobal.com. You hear the ads. You hear him visit with us, and you can find it each and every week at Baltimore Positive and in our audio vault now, which is expanding, ever expanding for Stitcher and Apple and Google and Play and all that stuff. Appreciate you, man. Watch the hockey game. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
You got it.
Leonard Raskin joining us here, Raskin Global, giving you great advice as well. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop our wise conversations and talking Baltimore Positive.